Good evening. I am your host, Sharmark. Welcome. I think in life it's good to be good, to do good. And I think we have somebody here to break that down for her. She has a drive for being good. We want to know why she's been so good. And then it's a very powerful foundation. I cannot say much until my guest. She's such a wonderful person. I've known her from back in the days from when I used to work at Air Valmore. She was a wonderful receptionist. I admire her then, and we've been friends from the get-go. And I have a wonderful guest. I would allow her to introduce herself to us. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, for having me on your show. It is indeed a pleasure. My name is Diane Felicien. I am the founder and CEO of Donation Foundation, a foundation that started about 3 years ago. And that foundation actually started from my passion for people, for community. However, most importantly, it's really stemmed from my life as a child, as an adult, and a number of experiences that I would have had during my lifetime. Like I said, I do have a passion for people. I am actually the Good Deeds Day leader for Saint Lucia. Good Deeds Day is actually an international movement that started in 2007 by Shari Harrison from Israel. Good Deeds Day is all about doing good. It's about respecting people. And it has no limit as to why one should be good. And it is a message that we continue to push as Donation Foundation and the lead organization for Good Deeds Day in St. Lucia.
Mama, my girl, you should be a contestant. You give me a whole biography there. But anyway, Miss Diane, so basically the foundation is an international foundation.
Basically, yes, we have international partners. We are.
Meaning that it started on the international level and branched out to St. Lucia.
No, it started in St. Lucia. It actually, I am the founder and CEO of Donation Foundation. I actually started it.
So who came up with the name and all of that?
It actually came up with the name came up with a few friends, where I told them about the idea of me wanting to start a foundation. I do have a lot of experience. I was the past president of the Saint Lucia Crisis Center. I served as a director on the National Community Foundation. I have served in various capacities in the community level. I served also within the hospitality credit union sector on the supervisory committee, the credit committee. So I have been around in terms of volunteerism. So I spoke to a few friends of mine about starting an organization because what I realized is we were actually covering up a lot of the issues. So when I say cover up, we were not digging deep in terms of what is causing the poverty, what is causing the rape, what is causing the fatherlessness, what is causing it. Because most times what we see is that we continue to give hampers. We continue to make people dependent on us. But in terms of helping them out, yes. But we needed to go a step further. What is causing these people to need the hamper? Is it a situation of them needing upliftment? Is it a situation where they need a job? Is it a situation where we need to refer them to a ministry who can maybe help them if they are falling through the system in terms of whether they need assistance? Are they unable to work? Or do we need to assist them in terms of maybe getting an education? So we dig deep into the issues, though we would want to help, and that is what we saw was really lacking, and that is the foundation that Donation Foundation started on.
So is it a situation when you have somebody with a situation maybe that they need help that you actually intervene and you do some research or some investigation in the background and basically you show them how to fish, that you don't want them to depend on the organization.
Right.
Because I always think, for me, I raised poor, and then I figure if I was just depending on my mom to always go out and bring the bread and stuff like that, and I would not be where I am today, and I think if you teach people how to do stuff, the organization can have new persons that would register with them.
Exactly.
Because to say, to see that you'll be helping one individual for 10 years in the organization,
Exactly.
that means the organization is not going forward and you're
No.
not doing a good job.
And not just that, but you are not helping the individual itself. Because if you want to have an organization, or you want to place your organization in a position where you don't make people dependent on you, you work to make them independent. There are some cases where they would need more in-depth help. So this is the time where you make referrals either to the Ministry of Equity, because the Ministry of Equity have a lot of social programs that, you know, they help people who are not able to fend for themselves. And that is why we are not saying that if in case somebody come to us for assistance, that we will not help them. But we don't want it to be that they are dependent on the organization, because like you said, we're not going to help, because we cannot help 100 people and make them solely dependent on us. We will not be able to
I
get anywhere.
realize growing up, even now, sometimes, especially during COVID, people get assistance and they take the items and they sell it. How do your organization control that? How can you control that to prevent this from happening? Because I mean, I think you would be depriving somebody who really needs the help from getting that hamper, and to see the organization give you a hamper and you go ahead and sell it. I think that's kind of cold.
Yes. Well, that is something that you get with every organization. However, what I believe in, and one of the things that we work with, is the Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the things that we truly believe in is SDG number 17, which is Partnership for the Goals. And I believe that this is an area for improvement, where if we as NGOs come together, we collaborate, especially when we have these hamper distribution drives. What you have is that a number of persons, they give the hampers to the same
Same
person.
set of people
So
all the
you
time.
have the NGO 1 giving Mapopo, NGO 2 giving Mapopo. And you have people who are getting things that they basically don't need. So that is where you will have the situation. Sometimes, I'm not saying that is always the case, that people tend to sell some of the things because they don't need it. And if you come together as different NGOs, that it would put you together in a better position, that you are able to say, well, okay, NGO 1 gave Mapopo, so I'm going to go and give Ma Henry down the road.
Wouldn't it work better if, don't you think it's a good idea that you have a consultation with Mapopo to find out what is it she wants, instead of you giving her stuff that she wouldn't need?
This is what we call a needs assessment, and most times you have organizations do it. However, in the time of a disaster, so for instance a hurricane, it would not always be possible
To go to all those
to
houses.
go to all those houses and to get in terms of the needs. And that is where we as community persons come in, that if we work together collectively, we are able to share with other NGOs. And again, I speak about collaboration. If we collaborate, we are able to share information that we have, you know, the number of persons that we have given in each community.
I think it's a
and it
powerful
would
word you
help.
mentioned there,
Yes.
Diane, is
Collaboration,
collaboration.
yes.
Because what would happen, sometimes I have a charity, you have a charity, and it almost becomes, sometimes it looks like a competition.
Yes.
You see, like, people go and feed people by the town hall, and then they, as I said, they feed in the same persons over and over.
Right.
We're going into commercial, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Education is power, education is knowledge, and I've learned so much by listening to Ms. Diane, and I think it's very interesting that we know stuff, because I used to see the organization very popular on social media, and I was like, what are these people doing? You see them cleaning and everybody's involved. I thought it was just something for show, and it's almost like now you gave so much information. It's like I look at it from a different light, and I respect now the organization. So I would like a little more information in terms of how do people, if somebody's interested, they want to do a volunteer, they want to help out with the organization, what is the criteria, who do they have to call, where is your office located?
One of the things we don't do is discriminate. We believe that volunteerism includes everyone. No matter what your background is, there is always something that you could give back to society.
Totally.
In terms of volunteering with us, we do have we can be contacted via Facebook. We could be contacted via Instagram, and we do have our application form available that any person who is interested in becoming a volunteer with Donation Foundation can actually sign up. However, one of the things that people would say is is I don't have time to volunteer or I cannot give so much. But anything that you do towards the development of your country, towards your
Makes a
community,
difference.
makes a difference. So sometimes, you may not be able to be at every event or every cleanup campaign. However, there are other ways that you could volunteer, via social media, share a post. You could go to a school. There are various ways that you can be part of volunteering. It doesn't have to be that I'm at every event, because we do have some volunteers who work as referral agents. So if in case we have an issue, they refer the clients, or I wouldn't say the clients, but the people that we deal with to the various, ministries,
So
or
basically, you would categorize
yes,
the volunteers. If I'm
yes,
into social work, that will come handy for the volunteer. If I'm
yes,
into cooking, so you can put
yes.
them in terms of teams.
Yes, and not
Okay.
just teams, but there are other ways that you could volunteer. So for you, you are into design, you are into event management. It could be by just coming on board and say, hey, Donation Foundation is hosting that event. How can I help? I could volunteer my time, I could volunteer my services, I could volunteer maybe items that I believe can make a difference in the event, the outcome of the event. It doesn't have to be you being there all the time, but there are other ways that you could give back. You into designing. How can you, as a designer, share with a young man, a young woman, to who may have the dream of becoming a
Becoming a
designer.
designer. Yeah.
So it's not always being on the ground doing the cleanup, but there are various ways
And
that
I
you
think
can
it's a good
volunteer.
thing to donate and to help out, because the funny thing about life, what I've learned, the way we come, that's not the way we go. So
Exactly.
if you can make a difference and show the world, make a difference, because at the end of the day, you don't have to wait to be in a situation to do a GoFundMe page or play, you don't have time. I think sometimes
Exactly.
as human beings, we are so selfish. I mean, like I do my own little charity in between, but I just think sometimes I don't post or stuff. Like at
Right.
school, I'm very passionate. I know what it was like not having all your books to go to school.
Exactly.
So you help out.
Yeah.
And I just give it to them. I don't post or anything because I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
not doing it for likes or anything. Like
Right.
I am just doing it as me, as a business person, because I think sometimes it's good to plant a seed in somebody's
Right.
life and make a difference.
Right.
I realize you have this pageant coming up. Last day you have a pageant. So you know me already in my big mouth. I say it's a foundation. What do you even have in pageant? You play for la, huh? So what was, and then I realized when I saw it this year again, I realized it was young people, and with what's happening now in society, I think it's a good way to interact with the young people in terms of youth development. And the young people are not very passionate in terms of helping out and stuff like that. So, and I looked at the pageant last year, and I was impressed that the whole talent was about doing good, the
Yes.
questions and everything tie around the show. So I find it was a very strong platform. How did y'all came up with the idea? Because to me, it was not just a regular pageant.
Right. Well, like I indicated, we are the Good Deeds Day organization representing Good Deeds Day. It's actually an international movement in 115 countries from around the world.
Wow.
So of course we are not just an organization just saying, well, okay, we are doing good, but we are part of a global network. So we constantly look for creative ways as to how to engage young people, how to get young people involved in volunteerism. And one of the things that we realize is that a lot of our young women are into pageantry. And we spoke about why not having a pageant based on volunteerism. So of course we would encourage the voluntary movement. We would encourage women empowerment, youth development. We would encourage that. So again, like you rightly said, it's a pageant with a difference. So the ladies go through an entire journey. It's not all about the glitz and the glam. So you would find them in cleanup campaigns, you would find them in various volunteer activities, giving back their time, various training sessions in terms of how to take care of themselves emotionally, physically, mentally. So we build them and we prepare them for the future. But with all of that, they would need to give back. And we need to encourage young people to not just always be willing to accept, but what can I do for my country? What can I do for my community? And this is what we are encouraging in this pageant.
You're speaking there, and I'm thinking like everybody in this pageant is a winner, because if you can do so much, you're getting so much knowledge and so much information, and there's so much interaction.
Yes.
I think like even though I did not win the pageant, I would feel like I gained something if I was a contestant.
Yes, because our contestants, we not only just take them through a pageantry journey for 1 month or 2 months. So our contestants would have been engaged from since January.
Wow. So do you have a pageant this year?
Yes, we have a pageant this year,
What
November
date
30th.
Oh, wow. How many ladies do you have?
We have 5 stunning ladies
Wow.
vying for this pageant. And of course, we have the corporate sector, which is really, really supporting us.
So you have sponsors and
we
all
have
that?
sponsors.
Would you like sharing your sponsors with us?
Sure, we can. So we have our contestant number 1, who is Miss Harriet Bernard. She's sponsored by Saint Lucia Bamboo Rafting.
Wow.
We have contestant number 2, Miss Cheyenne Marius.
Nice.
She's sponsored by Bon Esprit Villas. We have contestant number 3, Miss Beatrice Stanio. She is sponsored by Island Adventures.
Wow.
Contestant number 4, Miss Jenna Joseph, who is sponsored by Harbour Club Saint Lucia.
Nice.
And contestant number 5, Miss Maya McDermott, who is sponsored by Coco Palm. And we also have
we also have contestant number 6.
Yes!
We're taking a break and we'll be right back. That's me, sponsored by Choice TV. Welcome back. And I think I'm sticking for chaperone for that pageant, my sister. So tell us, before we went to commercial, you was about to say something. Very
yes.
serious.
It is very encouraging to see the number of corporate companies that are coming on board to support us.
Trust me, Stickapin, I was quite impressed when you was mentioning the sponsors. I was like, wow. Because I think it makes a difference in the society, and it shows that the sponsors understand the assignment of the organization.
Yes.
So sponsors, thank you so much for coming on board. Yeah. So where do you get tickets? Oh, no, it's a bit early now, but where is the show is going to be held?
It's going to be held November 30th at the National Cultural Center. Tickets can be purchased from Sharmark, that's on Bridge Street. Our office is located at Alias Forces.
Okay.
Or the contestants, or we could be contacted via our social media platforms.
Wow.
And we could make the necessary
How old is the
arrangements.
organization now for Saint Lucia?
For Saint Lucia, we started in 2021. A lot of people think that donation is older than that, but we really started off in 2021.
I think they maybe think you're an old woman because you're all everywhere on social medias and you turn left, right, and center, which is good because there's a lot of visibility and stuff like that. So is it a non-profit organization?
It's a non-profit organization.
Is it registered?
It is registered.
So how do you go ahead and register something like that to make sure it's not questions people would ask when they hear organizations like it's legit by the government, by the people, that a company would want to be associated with it? What was the process like?
To start off the organization, first we had to go through Ministry of Equity.
Oh, wonderful.
So that would have to start off with a social transformation officer. You being interviewed, you having your elections, the PS secretary or giving you have to actually go through a 6 months probation kind of period, and then they offer you that.
To make sure it's not a scam
and then they provide you with your certificate.
Okay.
From there, when you want to move on to be like donation fund to be incorporated, it's actually a long process. You have to go through the Attorney General office. You have to go through the filing of the documents with the registrar group of companies. You have to go through your attorney. So it is not a process of just saying, I want to start an organization, but you have to ensure that your reports and everything are in keeping with the bylaws and the regulations of the laws of the land. So when we approach any sponsor, any organization, we are sure to provide them with a copy of our certificate to show that we are a bona fide organization.
That's, wow. I'm quite impressed. Because sometimes you hear organization, I mean, growing up when I did not know better, I wasn't mature. I say, oh God, here's another scam again, but I apologize. Because
No,
sometimes you don't
yes.
know. And it's good to ask those questions because people, they have so many organizations. And then
Yeah.
some people just might do organization because they figure to be an easy way out and stuff like that. And by just listening to that, I can tell there's a passion in your voice. It's almost like I'm speaking to some AI version of yours. Like, I'm quite impressed.
Yes.
So what would you tell anybody that's interested in maybe sponsoring the show? I mean, like, here's an opportunity now to encourage anybody that wants to be a sponsor for the show or wants to come on board as a partner for the organization.
What I would say to corporate society is that there is an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. Donation Foundation is actually a registered organization. We ensure that we provide our sponsors, our partners with reports. Just come on board. We will present all of your reports. We will present you with, information, if any in-depth information is needed in terms of Donation Foundation. But there is an opportunity to grow and to make your difference within the community. Donation Foundation is actually a registered member with the International Association of Volunteering Efforts. We are actually, again, the lead organization for Good Deeds Day International, which all of these are international movements. And of course, in Saint Lucia, we are a registered organization.
I realize you keep using the word community. Is it an issue where you only do the Castries Basin? Do you do Vieux Fort, Soufrière, Micoud?
When I speak of your community, I speak of Saint Lucia.
So basically,
Yes.
it's a situation where the organization is covering the whole of Saint Lucia.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And that is why you notice the name is, whilst it may spell donation, but it says do nation. So we are doing
Oh,
the nation.
nation. Oh, that's creative.
Yes,
I like
yes. We are doing the
Wonderful.
nation. Again, I would say that starting off a non-profit organization, there are challenges. I had to sacrifice a lot. I had to invest a lot to, and of course, my friends, my family had to invest a lot to bring to donation to where it is. There is a lot of sacrificing. There is a lot of getting people to believe in you and getting people
That's
to
what I was just about to
understand
say. I think from the
what
starting,
you are
people
doing.
might figure, what is she doing? But as
Yes.
time goes by, they realize the
Yes.
passion and the amount of effort you're putting into
Yes.
it. Then they themselves, that passion and the effort will rub up, which will
Right.
rub it on somebody else, and then they will
Yes.
just feel that vibes and say, Diane, what's next? What are we doing? And stuff like that.
Yes, but I also, I'm not sure if you'd permit me, but I want to speak of some companies who really believed in us and what we were doing from the time
I
that
think
we
that's why
started.
we're here. So.
You look at Massey Stores, you look at Blue Waters, you look at Lucilec, you look at Advanced Caribbean Cleaning Services, you look at Elwin's Construction, and that's just to name a few. These companies, and they are still with us now as we continue to grow. And these companies, they really believed in us from the time we started and what we were about as an
I
organization.
think it's a good thing when the corporate
Yeah.
society come on board to something like that. It shows that they're not only taking money from us, but they're actually giving back
Yeah.
to society. I mean, like, they have some companies, every organization, like you mentioned, listen, like, they're always sponsoring something, they're always doing something.
Yeah.
You know, as much as sometimes we say that you keep paying your electricity, but that same money is going back into the community,
is,
you know,
it
some way,
is.
somehow. They give
Yes.
scholarships, and a lot of companies are doing that. So I would say I am bravo. I think as a young person, that's a good thing. So what would you say to any young person that would want to to maybe form an organization, join an organization, a charitable organization in the future? What would you tell them if you had to tell them? You can look into the camera and then
Yes,
share
I
that
would.
with them.
To any young person, I would say follow your dream, follow your passion. However, I would say that ensure that you have an open mind, you are willing to collaborate because no one can do it on their own. Ensure that you are willing to collaborate and ensure that you are willing to take advice. Because sometimes you are not the only one. You may not know it all. Ensure that you are willing to even accept correction and even remain humble. One of the things that you would need is humbleness. Humbleness takes you around the world. I would encourage any young person to do so.
We're going to wrap up, but before we wrap up, Diane, I would like to say thank you so much for coming. The only problem I had, you tried to come in blending with my colors, but I can take that. But thank you so much. I think it was very informative. I, as an individual, learned a lot, and I would say Corporate St. Lucia, please go out and support the show. I think it's good for our country, for our nation, for our young people. And I think it's a wonderful thing. So, Diane, is there a hotline if anybody needs to reach you, or is there a contact number and email address?
Yes, our email address is actually on our Facebook page, Donation Foundation. My telephone number is actually on the Facebook page, so persons can reach me at any time, email us at any time. I know we don't have a hotline, but we normally respond to anybody at any time, and we make the necessary referrals or support if we have to.
Okay. So thank you so much. I'm your host, Sharmark. Enjoy your weekend. Remember, we can catch a rebroadcast on Sunday and tell somebody I'm back on air. It's happening. I am here. Thank you so much, Saint Lucia, for having me in your homes.